In this second module, now we will discuss over agricultural sector on the eve of independence. The moment we are coming over this topic, we have to find out what was the condition of the Indian agriculture just on the eve of the independence. The moment we are coming, the moment question is being asked what was the condition, in answer we have to reply that on the eve of the independence, Indian agriculture was backward and stagnant. Now the two word is coming, backward and stagnant. Now the two word is coming, backward and stagnant. Now one more question can be asked, why it was backward, why it was stagnant? Because Britishers were giving more attention towards the agricultural sector, and because of that only they became able to control the whole world. Wherever they were getting loss, all that loss was being filled by the revenue which they were collecting from the India. They were telling this is true, nobody can deny it, but we have to find out intention of the Britishers. Main intention of Britishers was to exploit India at every level. So for that, what they were doing is they were getting more revenue from agricultural sector as much as they could get, and they were using all that revenue for expansion and promotion of their own economy. The moment we have to discuss about the backwardness and stagnation of Indian agricultural sector, we have to find out the causes behind all these. Since Britishers ruled in India approximately 200 years, because of which it became compulsory for them to maintain better revenue system for the promotion of British Empire. For that, they worked in three stages. First, permanent land settlement was set up by them, and this work was done by Lord Cornwallis in 1793. Second system was Mahalwadi system, and third was Raiyatwadi system. Especially we will discuss about the Jamindari system, because this Jamindari system created lot of complication, especially in northern and northeast part of the India. Northern and northeast part of the India. Through this system, they created three categories. In first category, the government itself was present. In second category, Jamidar was there, and his responsibility was to collect revenue from the peasants. And in third category, peasants themselves were there. They were doing cultivation work, they were the tiller. Sometimes they had land, sometimes they were not having land, but they were doing tilling work. And after tilling, they had to pay to the government, but they were not paying revenue directly to the government. In between government and them, there was a Jamidar, and Jamidar only was responsible to collect revenue from the peasants. After collecting revenue from the peasant, Jamidars themselves were providing lagan to the government. This system was introduced in India, especially the permanent land settlement system was introduced in India only to make the revenue permanent for British Empire, so that they must protect and promote their empire throughout the world. They must protect and promote their empire throughout the Hindustan, so that their benefit must be expanded forever. Their main intention was not to provide any kind of benefit to the Indian peasants. They were not interested for that. Their main intention was to get maximum revenue from them at the permanent level, and for that they used Jamidars. They provided whole responsibility to the Jamidars, and whenever Jamidar was not becoming success to collect the revenue from the peasants, right of that particular jamidar was being sold to the another person who was ready to take responsibility to collect revenue from the jamidars. And jamidars, since were knowing their rights can be sold at any time the moment they are not submitting revenue on time to the government, because of this they were merciless towards the peasants. They were trying their best to collect revenue at any cost from the peasants. They were not interested to do any kind of investment in the agricultural sector, so that agricultural sector must get its own development. Now let us talk about the peasants. Peasants, since they had to pay maximum to the jamidars, and they were having on little bit amount of the total whole share of the product, because of this they were not able to invest even a single part of their salary in the agricultural sector, because they were not getting any incentive from the agricultural sector. Since any other vocational sector was not available at that period in India, because of this they were compelled to work continuously in the agricultural sector. Approximately, since 85% population was involved in the agricultural sector, because of this at that period their economic status started to be deteriorated during the period of the British Empire. It is true, commercialization of agriculture was introduced by the Britishers only. But here also you have to see the intention of the Britishers. They introduced commercialization of agriculture on demand of industries which were newly set up in England. For filling their demand, they started to produce raw material in agro-based in agricultural sector of India, so that they must get cheap raw material from Indian agricultural sector, so that they must sell all these to the industrial sector of England, so that they must get benefit even by exporting these raw material from India to England. The moment we are going to understand about the mental status of the British rule, we should not forget that they were traders. Having been traders since they appeared in India, so they never forget this main platform. Even after involvement in political sector in Hindustan, they never forget it their main intention to get maximum profit through the trading system in between India and Britain. So they started to get benefit by exporting raw material from India to Britain and by importing machine-made products from Britain to India. In that way, what happened? The cottage industry, which was flourished, which was gaining its name and fame throughout India before the advent of the Britishers, started to decline step by step, due to which its negative impact also came on the Indian agricultural sector at that period, because those who left their job, those who lost their job, they also came in agricultural sector at that period. So the burden of these people increased on the burden of the agricultural sector. Besides this, agricultural sector was full of vulnerability. There was no protection either from the government side or from the Jamidar side, as well as since any kind of investment was not being done at that period, any kind of investment was not being done at that period, either from these two people or from the peasants, any type of incentive was not present, because of which any protective measures could not appear at that period. At that period, productivity of peasants started to be declined. There was no guarantee of crops the moment they were sowing seeds. They were fully dependent upon nature. If they were able to get good crops, it was symbolizing good rainfall. In case of bad rainfall, they were having bad harvest, and because of this, they were becoming helpless. They were not able to do any kind of work. They were doing cultivation work. They were not leaving their agricultural sector because they were believing in the karma. Since any other sector was not available at that period, any other vocational sector was not available at that period, because of which they were compelled to die in cultivation sector. They were compelled. Moreover this, at that period, whoever were educated, they were involved in the political sector. They were talking about the Jamidars. They were talking about the interest of the Jamidars, but practically on the practical ground, they were not taking any decisions, or they were not able to take any decision for protection and promotion of the Indian peasants. Since any kind of promotional work was not done in the Indian agricultural sector, because of this, productivity of Indian agriculture declined. And it did not improve at all. So, when we got independence on 15th August 1947, we found that Indian agriculture is backward and stagnant. Backward and stagnant, which was not before the advent of the British rule. Because at that period, Indian peasants were flourished. They were producing crops not only for themselves but also for the market. They were flourished. They were happy. And it was characteristics of the Indian environment that Indian rural economy is independent economy. It was able to produce each and every kind of product in its own sector. But this independentness was totally destroyed by the activities of the Britishers systematically. In a very systematic way, Indian agriculture was totally destroyed. Now in second module, I will explain about the industrial sector on the eve of independence. That's